Welcome back, real nerds. It's time for some more real game, and I'm Scott with RNRT, and today we are talking about the one, the only, Temtem. Yesterday was its final stress test before the release coming out tomorrow, January 21st, 2020, so be sure to put it on your wish list on Steam or Humble Bundle, as it's being published by Humble Bundle, as well as being developed by a company called Creme out of Spain. So if you haven't already looked into it, make sure you go check it out. Wishlisted on Steam or Humble Bundle. You can also use our affiliate link down below if you want to help us get a little bit of a kickback. Now, to kind of jump right into it, this game is coming only to PC at first. It is coming to consoles, but it's going to be either later this year or next year in 2021. So if you're on PC and you have this and you have the ability to get this game, it's going to be $34.99 in the US. They are doing regional pricing, I believe it's called, where if you live in a different country other than the US, they're going to have pricing based off of where you live. So make sure you go check out their official website for any kind of information on that, or you can check out their Discord as well. They have a pretty rambunctious Discord, but it's definitely fun to be in and see all the art as well. So this is going to be supposedly supposed to be a full MMORPG. Creature hunting is at its core with the battle systems and the IV, EV training, if they're going to be calling it that in this, as well as breeding. I mean, this game is, so it's unapologetically, like Pokemon, right? You can see that it obviously cares for Pokemon as a title or as a franchise because it takes such great care of the things that we actually want in a Pokemon-like game. So, without saying Pokemon too much after this is called Temtem, and you are playing a tamer who goes out and collects or hunts Temtem. You're going to use these Temtem to battle other Temtem tamers, as well as dojo masters or dojo leaders, which is like your gym leaders. And you also have capture kind of devices like a Pokeball, but in this game they're called Temtem cards, I believe, which you kind of just throw them, and it actually is really cool. It's like a mixture of Pokemon and Digimon, like all together, where it kind of like spirals around almost like Pokemon Ranger and digitizes the Pokemon or the Temtem. See, I'm saying Pokemon, but it's really, really cool. But yeah, like digitizes them, and you actually capture it. Really interesting, and you can pick right from there if it goes to squad or your box or whatever. So they have a lot of the, I say, quality of life things in this game kind of at the forefront. I feel like it's like, you remember when T-Mobile was like coming back out and they're like, we're going to be better, blah, blah, blah. And they started like getting rid of pain points for customers. That was like their thing. This game is like if a company decided to get rid of pain points for like Pokemon. If they were like, well, what do you have? What's wrong with Pokemon? Oh, well, in the last couple games, it was hard to get from the tutorial section area, if you want to call it that, to actually playing. This game has a clear, cut and dry tutorial in the beginning. It's very, 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 very minimalistic in the sense that it's not going to try to handhold you. This game kind of understands that you know how to play games like this. There are a few things that are different in this game, like they have different types. Like there's, I can't remember if it's robotic or electronic, but there's like tech Temtems in this, like creatures. It's really cool. And apparently they're very, very powerful. Another thing, quality of life, just to talk about real quick, is that you know how like in Pokemon you have to get HMs? I know they've changed this slightly in the newer ones, but you don't have to actually engage in flavor text or text when you're engaging in, like, say, surf or healing your Pokemon, which you'll see later in the video as well. But I said Pokemon again, but when you're healing your Temtem, it's not the same kind of sequencing as when you're in a Pokemon game where, you go up to the to Nurse Joy, you're asking her to, can you make my Pokemon, heal them and whatnot, right? And if you played Pokemon, you know that process, if you played for a long enough time, it's just annoying because you can't skip through it. You have to confirm. If you accidentally press A again, you're accidentally going to go right back into the text, and it's annoying. So this game completely gets rid of that. You go up to like a vending machine, basically. You press, the action button. It takes the Temtem cards away from you, heals them, gives them back to you, and you're done. It's like 10 seconds at most, and it is so straightforward. It kind of threw me back because I was like, what? They can do this? Like, why haven't... What? And then they kind of carry that over to other things. So like surf, like I was saying earlier, you don't even have to click when you go up to the water. If you have the surfboard, which is actually how you surf in this game, you just walk up to the water and you automatically get on the surfboard. It's natural. It feels native. It feels like it was built in. It feels like somebody cared enough to put it in. And not to say that Pokemon doesn't care. It's just that this game seems to be caring more about the things that I would say the 80s, the 90s, the nostalgia players. These are the people that play Pokemon, Nuzlocke or Pokemon ROMs, emulators, people who really enjoy playing Pokemon at a higher level or a harder or more challenging level. Now, not to say this game isn't for beginners, younger players, newer players, anything like that. It's just that it can be played at a higher level or a more competitive level naturally. Whereas in Pokemon, you kind of have to make it more competitive. Not necessarily. It's gotten, if you've played Pokemon, you kind of know where I'm going with that. But to say a little bit more about this, they have the dojos, which are like gyms. So those are pretty cut and dry. There's a leader in there. You got to go face them. You got to win to get the respect. But like I said, there's little to no hand-holding. So you're going to get dropped off. You're going to basically start playing within 5 to 10 minutes. Go capturing wild Temtem, fighting Temtem tamers in the wild. And that's right away. There's very little of them saying like, oh, well, do this or try this or do that. Nope. You better know what you're doing. And the thing is, I believe you do, so I think you're going to be just fine. This game does not use the same tropes as Pokemon when it comes to, oh, well, do you want to try this or do you want to try that? Well, let me show you all the new features, yada, 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 right? This doesn't do that, which I really, really appreciate. It's almost like, I don't want to say a grown-up version of Pokemon, but it's kind of like Pokemon can't do an MMO, right? They do different things. So, besides fixing some of the pain points, speed and efficiency seems to be at a focus at this game's heart. Making the animations tight, making the moves beautiful, making the sound like, my gosh, does the soundtrack on this game sound amazing. Now, don't get me wrong, the world soundtrack where you're actually just walking around, super, super, super reminiscent of like actual Pokemon. But man, the intensity and the whimsicalness of the actual like in-combat music and some of the other places, it's awesome. It's really, really good. I definitely recommend just listening to the music if you go and check this out. So, like I said, you start off with Temtem cards, which are kind of like your Pokeballs. They're a little bit different, and they kind of capture like an image of your Temtem that you captured, which is really cool. Like, instead of just having like this, circle thing that you can't see into at all, you actually get to see the information in front of it. It's really interesting. So, with the less tutorial and more exploring as a focus, these are, in my opinion, good things because of games of like Breath of the Wild or like old Pokemon. People enjoy those games for good reasons. And it's because they don't make you feel like you're being held the whole way. So, like I said, if you were into Pokemon years ago and you kind of dropped off, this might be the game you want to check out. So, to get into more of it a little bit, character customization is very much here. You don't have like a full custom character creator, but you do have your options, and I think they're going to add in more options later down. Who knows? But from what it looks like you're going to be able to, customize and make it personal to an extent. But I actually really like the art style they have here, so I'm not sure how much they're going to be able to do with the different types of, like coloring and different types of clothing and fashion. But knowing how games are nowadays and with microtransactions and all these other things, I'm sure we're going to see some kind of store with clothing and fashion involved. So there's a standard 6-party system. Just like in other games, you're going to have your 6 characters, your 6 creatures in your party. The big difference, though, as you can see, is it's 2v2 or 2v1. But as long as you have 2 Temtem, your 2 Temtem will go out on the field. If your opponent doesn't have 2 Temtem, that's fine. But as long as you have 2 Temtem, you will always fight 2v whatever, 2v1, 2v2. And a lot, you also face like dual trainers or dual tamers, we would call it, kind of like in Pokemon as well. But they don't use PP for the moves, like power points. They use stamina. It's simple, but it's elegant, and you can't just spam the same stuff over and over again. You will end up just not being able to, you get exhausted. And I think this really adds in another flair to the combat system that, yes, has been done before, but I don't think altogether with like a Pokemon style game like this. Because this is kind of like a knockoff of Pokemon, but they're doing it well. They're doing it the right way, in my opinion. They're doing it, and they're telling people it's not Pokemon. It's come from that love, that deep area in your soul where it's like, I need to play a creature capture game with an MMO aspect to it, with items, with actual like intent to capture these creatures and train them in the way that makes the most sense, right? You can really do that here, and it's all online. I can't get over this enough. It's an MMO. I've been wanting to play. I mean, how long have we been wanting to play a Pokemon game on console? And we finally got it, but like it's not, like come on, we want the MMO. The MMO, I really would love. I mean, it does take away from being kind of like the hero of the story, but I mean, you're still the hero of the story, I feel like. So, besides the fact that it's extremely hard not to say things in reference to like Pokemon when you're talking about a game like this, everything else is awesome. I mean, like I said, it's really hard to talk about the things in this game without saying things that are like Pokemon, or even mentioning the wording instead of saying the wording in this game as opposed to Pokemon. So forgive me for that, but this is kind of like a retraining of the brain. We've been so used to playing Pokemon that everything that's like Pokemon is Pokemon, or it's a knockoff of Pokemon. So I don't say that's a bad or a good thing, but I do invite you to open your mind a little if you are kind of on the back end of this saying like, man, there's another Pokemon knockoff or Pokemon emulator or whatever. I invite you to just look into it. Watch some gameplay videos. Watch some deeper dives into it. It's probably the game you want. It's probably, as long as they execute it right and it comes out with some decent content every once in a while, I think this game could be around for a long time. But it does definitely need an animation for like cartoons to compete with Pokemon. But if you watch the official trailer that came out today, man, they might be gunning for it. Who knows? All right. But with the MMO portion of this also comes real and true co-op. Co-op, people. Co-op. Me and Bobby can finally now sit here and actually play this together like real. Like instead of like Pokemon, it was, a little different. The adorable units and clean UI make the experience extremely, extremely enjoyable. I love the colors. I love the way that everything's kind of like curved. It has very soft features to it. The colors are vibrant. The water, that water looks like it came out of a cartoon. It's amazing looking. I keep saying amazing. I'm using a lot of big words. I'm using a lot of words like amazing and fantastic. For me, they're very describing words of what I've been seeing in this game, and hopefully you can tell how excited I am, because I am so excited for a game that is like Pokemon, but is different in the fact that it's different. It's just from everything I've said, the 2v2, the 2v1, the focus on the training, on the breeding, the EV/IV training, the focus on clean cut UI. I mean, the menu screens are nice. They're clean. They're not intrusive. It's amazing. I love it. So, it's a Pokemon style game on PC. I hope that this can kind of bridge a gap between the Pokemon games always being on Nintendo systems to this being, hey, the rest of the world, you can play a game that is possibly going to be better than Pokemon because of what it can offer, but it's available on PC and then soon everywhere else. So the ability or the barrier to entry for this title or this game will become so small that Pokemon may even have to compete on a different way, or in a different way, I should say. So, is it worth it? Is it worth it now? Is it worth it later? Is it worth it? I think, personally, if you're an early adopter of games, or an early adopter of technology, or anything like that, and you like Pokemon, or you like Pokemon-style games, and you have $35, definitely go pick it up tomorrow when it comes out. I will be picking it up tomorrow. I will be playing it. It's going to be so much fun. So join me on the Discord. We have a Temtem club that we're trying to name. So if you want to join us on the Discord. And let me know down in the comments if you're looking to get Temtem or any other creature capture title games coming up. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for today. Make sure you follow and subscribe here on the video. And if you haven't already, check out streamerlinks.com/realnerdsRT for everything RNRT related. And as always and forever, stay nerdy, my friends. Peace.